What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Bill. This is Matt. This is the Tatsquatch, and these are some Archaic Raptor style taillights for the Bronco. Got it that time. And we are going to be putting it on the Tatsquatch. Now, if you take a look at the rear of the Tatsquatch, he's already got these Quake taillights, LED taillights. They look pretty cool. They're very still built sturdy. I like the way they look with the wrap. It looks like it's all meant to work together. However, there is one problem with these taillights. They're not very bright, especially during the day. If you're driving behind him and he's braking, it's hard to tell. He's got the Oracle taillight, so that helps, but like turn signals and everything, they're sequential, but they're not very bright. At night it looks great. During the day it's not super bright, and Matt wanted the opportunity to get those Bronco style taillights, so we're going to go ahead,
or Raptor style taillights.
I keep saying Bronco style, right? Raptor style taillights. So we're going to go ahead and swap these out for those and see how it works. It seems like pretty straightforward instructions, just one little page. You do have to take the brackets off the back of the taillights. And where's one of my OEM ones? I'll show you on a... Now the Quake lights, we had to do this too. So those Quake taillights have his original mounts, which is just this plastic piece here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, I think they're 8mm bolts, and this mounting piece comes off and will need to be transferred from the Quake lights now to the Raptor tail lights. Got it right that time. And these are quick look at the tail lights, so very nice looking. So we'll get the Quake lights out, we'll take these brackets off the back, and it should be, since he does have a Badlands, it should be, and he had the signature lighting, it should be just a direct swap. You don't need to do anything extra with the wiring. Instead of having to go in and mess with forescan or anything, it looks like if you have the non-signature lights, they provide some extra wiring harnesses that kind of trick the system into not freaking out when you install LED lights, which is cool. Other lights I've seen have made you have to go in with forescan and change things, so either way works. But for this, we should be just plug and play, but we'll find out. So first things first, we need to go remove these tail lights, which means we're going to have to loosen this guy, well, probably a couple of these guys up. If you have the regular fender flares on there, you'll need to remove them. We've got the fender flare deletes that we're going to need to remove because we have to take this panel here off. Alright, so once you get this panel off, you're going to take this panel off too, but in order to do that, there's two little screw things here. So there's actually 3 on this side. One here, here. There's another one all the way up at the top corner, but we don't need to worry about that. You just want the ones that are connected to this piece right here. And it's a good day because they're listening, sort of. And then there is a 10mm down here. Then this should pop right out. But then to remove the tail lights themselves, there's just this 10mm bolt on this side here to remove, and then 2 more in here. One down here. Oh, actually those are 8mm, not 10, but this one is a 10mm. Also a note that your wiring would look different. This does, he has the Kurt tow hook wiring, connected here, so it has this extra clip. Normally it would just be the one clip coming out of there, but we'll go ahead and we can remove these two, and you see we have this white wire going directly to this nut as well, which is the ground for that Kurt wiring harness. Oh, thank you. And then once that's disconnected, it'll pull right out and you can disconnect your tail light. I said normally you wouldn't have this extra harness with the wiring going down here. It would just be just this connector that's like this, but in this case we have just that extra harness that is piggybacking in there. And then you can see the Quake lights use that same, we actually had different bolts that came with it, but the same 4 bolts here. They use this, so we got to remove this and transfer it over to the other light. All right, so the Quake taillights, when we transferred the bracket over from the OEM light to the Quake one, the Quake uses their own hardware, did not reuse the OEM hardware. And unfortunately, does not look like that is going to work with this. But fortunately, we have another set of OEMs from here. So we'll just leave the Quake lights assembled and steal the brackets from here, which is what most people would be doing anyway, would be switching from the OEM ones. So now we can show you what it looks like to take that apart. Take these 4 screws out. Those work with these lights, just that the Quake ones have their own proprietary special hardware that doesn't transfer over, and I have no idea what we did with those original screws when we took them out. And once that's loose, remember this slides off of there, but it's got a little clip right there, and you need a little flat head to get in there. There we go. So it's just got that little tab there that snaps in there and keeps that secure on there. And then the wiring is tucked under these little pass-throughs to keep them secure. And now that is the frame that we need to transfer. All right, so now this is going to sit back down. There's the 4 posts, and our 4 holes are going to line up there. It sits on there kind of wobbly at the moment, but now don't go super tight on these because you're just screwing into like a plastic self-tapping screw kind of. So you can easily go so tight it becomes loose, and we don't want to do that. So we definitely don't have as much wire as we had, but I guess we don't really need it. We can just slide that right back onto that post, assuming their plug, you would assume their plug would use, there it goes, yeah. So yeah, their plug slides right back onto that same post to keep that still. Should be able to just plug it right in. Till it clicks. There it goes. There. Now it's clicked. And then it'll just sit right back into position, hopefully. Like so. That kind of fits on the outside. That's what I was curious, because it sits more on the outside than the other ones, which fit a little bit kind of behind. That kind of wraps around that edge and covers that edge a bit. So yeah, those screw holes line up, and before we button up anything,
Gonna make sure it works.
we'll make sure it works so we can compare the two. Oh yeah, that's just this opening sequence is pretty cool. But yeah, you can see, I like on the camera can barely even see the quake light right now.
In real life, you can barely see the quake light.
Yeah, and here, this makes a big difference. Yeah, so how bright that amber just flashed, and I'm pretty sure that amber is the turn signal. So you'll definitely be able to see the turn signals driving behind you.
Get your turn signal.
Yeah, those amber is what flashes, and you can definitely, if I'm driving behind you, I can definitely tell your turn signals are on. And we got the sun shining right at you right now, and that's very easy to see. We're here. It's I can see it right now, but I've driven behind you at times where I'm like, I have not been able to see that. These are definitely much brighter, and they looks pretty cool. I was on the fence about these, not thinking they were going to be that much cooler than the Quake ones, because I like the Quake ones minus the brightness, but now seeing them and lit up, I'm a fan of them. Now, the other test is reverse, because one thing I will give the Quake lights is those reverse lights are super bright.
They do, they are, but and I also have the
rigid ignite lights in the bumper. But yeah, the Quake lights, when you put those in reverse, the backup lights, I will give them, are super bright, which just kind of makes it the fact that the brake lights is as dim as it is that much more disappointing. And then reverse, yeah, I mean, kind of hard to tell. That's probably a draw on that. So once that's all back together, you pop this piece back on, put the 10mm bolt on, and put the outside piece. For right now, I'll leave that off and go ahead and get the other side on. And it's very similar. We got 3 screws on the inside to take out, and then we got to pull this panel and that inside panel. It's a little harder to work on this side because the big wheel and the gate and everything in the way, but it's not impossible. It's just a little easier to do on the driver's side. But we'll go ahead, if the steps are exactly the same, we'll go ahead and get this side installed, and then we'll start putting everything back together. As you can see, we ran out of daylight. What should be pretty simple, putting them back together, we ran into a couple of issues. Because of how high the bumper sits, we gotta put these doodads in over here too.
Oh yeah.
But because of how high that sits, we actually had to drop the bumper down, because to get this piece on, you have to slide it back underneath there, and we weren't able to slide it underneath with the bumper, so we actually had to lower the bumper down and then slide that in. But if you have OEM bumper, or you haven't modified bumper height, then you shouldn't have that problem. But yeah, we first tried putting that on, it's like, that's not going to fit, because we're trying to fit it on the outside, and it's like, because these do sit over top the lip a bit, unlike the other ones, which I can't see on that side, but the other ones kind of sat inside and did not overlap, where these sit over the edge. So yeah, getting that bottom piece on, you kind of have to slide it up from the bottom and then in there, and then get it to fit on. But then once that's on, you can go ahead and put your fender flares back in, everything else back in, and then we're good. So now we can go ahead and get a good look at them. Yeah, got a cool little startup sequence. And yes, these are definitely easy to see. when you're using turn signals, when you're braking or anything. There's no second guessing that your lights are on or working. So, Matt, you happy with them?
Yeah, like better than I thought they would be. They're definitely bright. I think they look good.
I do too. And again, these are by Archaic lights. We'll put a link down in the description if you want to check them out. And if you use code Eville during checkout, you could save 5%.
5%.
5% off. Thank you, Matt, for stopping by once again.
Thank you.
And letting us play with your Bronco some more. Putting some pretty cool lights on there that, quite honestly, at first I wasn't sure I would like, but now seeing them, I actually love them. So they look great, they function great. So we'll keep you updates if there's any issues with longevity or any issues down the road. But
and you can check them out at Supercell.
yes, and they will be in the booth at Supercell, so be sure to come check us out. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the thumbs up button. If you'd like to see more of Matt, be sure to check out Tattoo-Matt71 or tat_squatch on Instagram or here at the channel. And thank you once again. Hope to see you guys next time.